Alright, since it's summer, I decided to start a summer franchise. So let's talk about the I Know What You Did Last Summer trilogy. I got all three of them on DVD, and all three posters look exactly alike. Floating heads and all, very Scream. All the posters in the late 90s and early 2000s had the same exact look, and thank God we're past that. So, this is a slasher movie that came out right after Scream, written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream. And I'm thinking that since this came out so quickly after Scream, that this was already written. So he obviously had it in a drawer somewhere, and they're like, "Hey, Scream's a big hit. Do you got anything else?" And he just threw them this script, and they got it out the next summer. And I'm not that crazy about this movie. I don't like it. No. I have only seen the second and third one once, and I don't remember anything about them. I know Jack Black's in part two, but I'm hoping that the second one's better than this, although I hear a lot more people shit on that one than the first one. I'm hoping that I am the opposite and that I will like part two, because watching the first one, I was not pleased at all. And because it's just so watered down. It's a bad slasher movie. It just has nothing going for it. You got all these pretty faces in it. And if you like it, that's fine, but this doesn't work for me. And I'm not one of those people that just hates everything that came out of the 90s. That's not me at all. I like Urban Legend. I reviewed that. I praised it and got a little bit of flack for it, but you know what? I like that movie and I'm not going to lie. This movie it didn't do it for me. So it's not that I'm like a 90s hater. Urban Legends works for me, but this one does not. But it's not all bad. There's some good things about it, some things that I liked about it, and let's get into it. My positives is that I like the look of the killer. I like slashers to have a killer with like a mask or some kind of gimmick, and this killer wears like this slicker outfit. It goes with the setting of the movie. There's a lot of the movie that takes place near like the pier and like this fish market, and there's a lot of people in this town that work as fishermen. So it's like a heavily populated like fisherman city. And like the main character and the main guy, his dad's a fisherman, and he's grown up to be a fisherman, so it makes sense. It creates a lot of red herrings because like everybody in town is a fisherman, and so is the male lead in here, played by Freddie Prinze Jr. You got half of Scooby Doo in this movie, and you had Matthew Lillard in Scream, so you got like three. You had him, and now you got these two people, Sarah Michelle Gellar, who did Scream 2 the same year as this, right? And you got Ryan Phillippe in here. You got like all these big name people who are good actors in other movies, not in this one. And then you got, of course, what's her face? Jennifer Love Huge Tits. She's in this movie, and I could not stop thinking about a scary movie when watching this movie. I just could not help it. It was making me laugh when, like, the movie's not funny at all. This is actually darker than Scream, which I like. I like that this one's darker and it's still got a little bit of that meta humor in it from time to time. They make, like, a Silence of the Lambs reference at one point. It's got that meta humor in it, so if you like that, you're going to get it. Just not a whole lot of it. It's not, like, heavy with it like Scream, but it's much more darker. There's, like, little moments here and there that I liked. Like, when he has that one victim just with the hook and he's like dragging the body around. I was like, that's a good shot. Like, this is dark, this is brutal. But that's it. It's just there's not enough of it. And I like the meat hook weapon. It's you can do a lot with that, and you could be you could be a lot more gory with it, but they just don't. You got like one good meat hook kill in the movie. And I do like the mystery whodunit aspect of the movie, just like Scream. Kevin Williamson, he's good at writing whodunits and mysteries, and there's lots of red herrings in here. Even though I've seen this movie before, I couldn't remember who the killer was. I had an idea, but then I was like, well, I don't even remember what the motivation was. So I was actually kind of watching it for the first time again, and I liked it. It was actually kind of keeping me intrigued, the mystery. Like, I was really engaged with the story, but I just wish that there was better characters and better kills in the movie to keep me entertained much more. And I like that it's a holiday slasher, so you can kind of watch it annually if you love the movie. It's like, great, I can watch it every 4th of July and you got all the fireworks going on. So I love that it's a holiday slasher, so you can watch it every year around the holiday. And the score of the movie I thought was decent. It had some moments that I thought stood out. It was really good. And I like that the final chase is on a boat. Like they're out at sea, and so I thought that was kind of perfect, because it's a fisherman that's killing everybody. So I was like, all right, and the final act is on a boat, makes sense. Just like in Child's Play 2, it's at the toy factory. It's like that's perfect. And this one, I thought that was a perfect way to wrap up the movie on the boat out there where they're just stuck. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? You're gonna jump overboard and just be in the ocean and drown? So I thought that was a good way to end the movie on the boat. So as for my negatives, I don't like any of the characters in this movie because they're idiots and some of them are just assholes. And I get you're supposed to think these people are assholes, but it's like, really, give me somebody I care about. Give me a quirky character. Give me a goofy one. Give me some better humor in the movie. I don't know. Like, give me something to make this more entertaining because the kills suck. The kills are all goreless, off camera. You got one that's like very quick, blink and you miss it, like to the face with the hook, and very shaky acting. Like it's okay, but then there's a lot of moments where it's just cringy and there's lots of like bad dialogue or just bad line delivery. Like when the couple, they're on the dock at the end and they're like hugging each other, like what they're saying to each other, the performances there, cringy as fuck. And Ryan Phillippe, can't stand his character, and I just think it's the wrong actor for that role. I don't buy him as the tough guy. He's not that big. He's not that intimidating. Freddie Prinze Jr. could kick his ass single-handedly. And it's just so dramatic. This is more of a drama. Like, yeah, it's dark here and there, but fuck, man, this is a drama. There's just lots of character drama between Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and then her mom for one scene only, and then she's no longer in the film. And it's very dramatic. Just I didn't care for any of that crap. Like I said, it's just goreless and it drags a bit. I was kind of bored throughout the middle. Like the mystery was kind of keeping me intrigued a bit, but I was just very let down by the movie. It was just kind of dragging here and there. So, final thoughts. I'm not a fan of this movie. I'm most likely not a fan of this franchise. Once I get to 2 and 3, I probably will come back here with the same thoughts and say that those movies aren't that good either. It's just too watered down. It's practically PG-13, but it's rated R because of all the swearing in it and a little bit of blood. And I guess, the one hand severed moment towards the end. So there's your gore. But outside of like the mystery to it and the look of the killer, there's not a whole lot that I really liked about the movie. So to me, I gotta say, when it comes to I Know What You Did Last Summer, this is a very underwhelming slasher movie that I just can't see myself ever revisiting, and I don't even think it's worth your time. I think it is wasted time. Alright, spoiler discussion. So, we see this guy on the pier, he's drinking, or, he's got this thing in his hands, and he's probably contemplating suicide. And, we cut to the beauty pageant, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and they always do the question thing, which I think is just stupid. It's like, no one cares. Like, so what are you gonna do after this, beauty? Like, I'm gonna go to Disneyland. Like, who fucking cares? Like, what are you gonna do to help the world? Oh, I'm gonna help prevent world hunger. I'm gonna go. In this case, she's like, I'm gonna be an actress, and of course that doesn't work out for her because she gets killed a year later. And yeah, the whole beauty pageant thing, like that can't even be a thing anymore in this PC world we live in. Like, oh, you get a trophy for being pretty, and you don't get one because you're ugly. Like, you can't do this shit no more because we're all so sensitive. Like, you can't just give out awards anymore. Like, do we do this anymore? I doubt it in this day and age, giving out trophies for being pretty. It's so stupid. But anyways, so yeah, and then they're literally having sex on the beach, and that, they should have been drinking sex on the beach while having sex on the beach. It cuts away. There's no nudity in this movie. There's no on-screen sex at all. Like, but they're clearly about to have sex on the beach. That's the way I read that scene. Maybe they just made out, but it seemed like they're about to fuck. And then we get the hit and run. This is what sets everything off, and it's so fucking stupid. Like, really? Like, so, they oh my god, we ran over a boot. She grabs the boot, and the body is like a mile away from the boot. I'm not sure how that happened. I mean, how hard do you have to get hit for one of your boots to fly off? But yeah, it's like, really, like, oh my gosh, we're all fucked. It's like, no, one of you is fucked, but you're all going to be fucked as soon as you move the body. Yeah, then you're all screwed. But it's like, you have 3 witnesses that can say, hey, it's a windy road. It's one of those roads that's just going around a mountain. It's in the middle of the night. The driver is not drunk. Like, but there's booze everywhere. It's like, yeah, but the driver wasn't drinking. And all they got to do is give him a breathalyzer test, like right then and there, and he's good, right? Like, they wouldn't be screwed. They should have just fucking called the cops, but they're being stupid. And they're taking, like, orders from the drunk, like the one that's actually drunk, Ryan Phillippe, giving orders and shit. It's like, it's such a stupid scene the way it plays out. And then they get him to the dock, and then he comes back. The guy they ran over, he's still alive. And what do? They fucking like start hitting on him because he's like grabbing the tiara crown off of Sarah, and they push him into the water. And then Ryan goes to get the crown back, sees that he's still alive, and then goes up. And as soon as he gets back up onto the dock, he's like, we never speak about this. We're done. Let's just go. Not like, hey, the guy's still alive. Maybe we can just take him to the hospital. And I guess we're not fucked. Oh my gosh, great. We can just take him to the hospital. It was just this accident. No one's going to get in trouble. It was his fault for walking onto the fucking road like an idiot. So, like, you guys are good. Like, why not just get him? They don't know he's a psychopath at that point. He's just an innocent victim to them. Like, them not getting his body and then taking him to the hospital like they should was stupid. And oh my God, it's like, okay, we're never speaking about this again. And then he starts like strangling Jennifer Love Hewitt right in front of her boyfriend. And what does the boyfriend do? He's like, hey man, no, stop. All right, you're being irrational. Just calm down. Like, dude, he is strangling your fucking girlfriend. No wonder she dumped your ass right after this. It's like, really? Come on. Like, Freddie Prinze Jr. would kick that guy's ass. Like, you don't fucking touch my girlfriend. All right? Man. Just letting him throw his girlfriend around like that. Jesus Christ. I was laughing at that. So, yeah. I just was laughing at the stupidity of the writing here. That they would just leave knowing that he's alive. Like, seriously? Okay. And then it's 1 year later. She's visiting the town again, and she gets a letter that has no postage. So how does she get the letter? You can't send one without postage. So he would have had to physically go deliver that himself, right? But it had like the address and everything written on it. So what's the point? Like, if you're not mailing it, why write the address? Just write Julie and then hand it under the door and you're good. Why write the address? You're not mailing it, and there's no postage on it. There's no return address. So just a little nitpick I have as a postal employee. So Barry, that's the Phillippe's character's name. He's like, you guys look like shit, ran over twice. Jennifer and Sarah, like, no, they do not. So, we find out that there was a body that was found 3 weeks later, so we're led to believe as the audience that the person they ran over is indeed dead, so the killer has to be someone else. But that's obviously not true. Why is Max killed? He didn't know. How would the fisherman, Ben, know that he was involved in any way, which he wasn't. He was just driving by that night. And when he drove by, Ben was unconscious on the side of the road. So he wouldn't know about Max. He just like see him talk to Jennifer and Barry and was like, oh, I guess he's a friend. I'll just kill him too. Like, he's killing all these other people who don't deserve it. The only one who deserves it here is Barry, if anybody. And so then, he finds the picture in his locker of his small penis. Oh, wait, no, that's a different movie. Scary movie. He finds the picture of his car, and he starts freaking out. And he has a confrontation with the killer, and this whole movie he's talking up a big game. He's like, I'm going to kick his ass when I get my hands on him. And what does he do? He pussies out. He just cowers like a little baby on the ground. Like, please, no. And he lets him live because the killer wants to toy with them because, plot conveniences. We got to just keep dragging this out. Like, they could all die very quickly. But the killer wants to just keep prolonging this, so he lets him live. Oh, yeah, okay, so I couldn't read my note because I have shitty handwriting. How did he know his locker? It's not like the locker had his name on it. Did he see him? I guess he was spying on him. I was just curious how he knew what locker to throw that photo in. I mean, how would Ben Willis know Barry's locker? I mean, come on. Did he ask somebody? Yeah, that's a nitpick. So, And then we get a little Silence of the Lambs drug, and we meet Marion Crane from Psycho, the remake, and she was the sister of the guy who they think they killed. And so Sarah, she gets her hair cut off in her sleep. So that's like the torture here being done on her. Like, ooh, big deal. Like, that's what the killer in this movie is doing. How lame. Like, he's just cutting people's hair. And like, oh, fuck you. Look what I did. You're not going to win that beauty pageant again, motherfucker. And then, like, but then later on, even though her hair was, like, cut in, like, this awful way, like, it was, like, all uneven and shit, the next day, her hair looks perfectly fine. Like, it's all an even length down to here. Like, bullshit. I'm not a hairdresser, but even I can call bullshit on that. There's no way. It had to be a wig. It had to be a wig. And then this dumbass scene, it's impossible and it's dumb. Just the line delivery and what she's doing, the character, it's infamous because of how silly it is. The "what are you waiting for?" that scene. But what happens before that? So she opens her trunk, sees that Max is in there, and 100 crabs. Just 100 wet, slimy crabs all over the fucking place. And the body bleeding, because, how he got killed, the meat hook under his chin, and then dragged across the table. That's the one real good kill in the movie. So she sees that, and she's at her friend's house. The house is like right there. Like, she could run to the house in 10 seconds. So she runs to the house, gets her two friends out to the car to show them. She's back in probably, I'll give her 2 to 3 minutes tops. In that 2 to 3 minutes, he emptied out, he got the body, he opened up her trunk somehow. I guess he has the keys, or he has a way to, like, get it open. So he gets the trunk open, gets the body, takes it to some other location. I don't know where he's hiding it. But then he gets all the crabs out, and then when she opens the trunk, it's all gone. But not only that, there's no traces of anything. No blood, no, like, anything from the crabs, crab shit. Like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything's just, like, perfect. Like, it was never there. Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Then the whole, what are you waiting for? And she's like looking to the clouds, like, does she think the killer's like a god? Like, he's in a tree somewhere? Like, why is she looking up? It was very dramatic. What are you waiting for? It's like, if he's anywhere, he's at eye level, so why are you looking up? It just made no sense. But yeah, so it's just clean as a whistle, that trunk. Bullshit. And then, so Barry, he wants to protect his girlfriend, and they just allow him to be on the parade, like on the card for the parade. I don't think that would be allowed at all. You would have to be a part of the parade in an outfit and everything, participating. He's just chilling on the front like, I'm protecting my girlfriend, even though I can't protect myself worth shit. And so that was just silly. It's like, there's no way he would be allowed on there. And then he tackles this old guy and doesn't even apologize for it. He thinks it's the killer from behind. He tackles him, and then he's like, oh shit, He doesn't even say my bad, nothing. He's just a total asshole. And then, so then he gets killed and doesn't put up a fight at all because he's a pussy. He likes to act like he's all tough, but he, like, really, and then, like, the killer, like, raises the weapon up. He has a moment to, like, block it, just doesn't do anything. He just gets killed, and then the cop goes up there, and of course there's no blood anywhere, so just like in a lot of Friday the 13th movies, blood's gone, no traces anywhere. I guess he had a mop with him so that he cleaned it up some. Yeah, then we found out that Egan was out there to kill himself in the beginning, but then Willis, his daughter, was the guy's girlfriend and whatnot, so all that stuff gets revealed here, and I thought that was all right. I like that mystery reveal there, the way it was done. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. They ran over a psychopath, so it was actually like them doing justice by running him over, and they didn't even know. So it was like, oh shit, we felt bad for a whole year for running over this guy, but it turns out he was actually walking back from a murder he just committed, so we actually did the world a favor by running his ass over. We actually should have killed him. We didn't do a good enough job. But why would Barry isolate himself? Let's go back to Barry. Like, that was so stupid. Like, you got this whole first floor filled with people. He's on the second floor by himself, and he knows he's a target. He's just isolating himself to get killed. That was just kind of dumb. And then the cop gets killed, and the killer somehow knew that they were going to be driving down that road at some point. That he set up like a roadblock or something. I don't know, like how he figured out what the route was going to be. So, I don't know. Just another little convenience. I know I'm a nitpicker, whatever. Fuck it. I'm going to talk about it. So then, we find out that Freddie Prinze Jr., he was the guy who talked to Anne Heche, whatever her name is, Marion Crane, and Billy Blue was him. And if you really thought that he was the killer, sorry, I guess you haven't watched enough murder mysteries. Like, there's no way. That's a red herring. Like, he's not the killer. There's no way. But then, like, she suspects Freddie Prinze of being the killer, and then just sees this random fisherman out there hit her boyfriend, and he's like, get on my boat, and I'll protect you. And then she's like, okay, I'll get on your boat. And then we get all, the cliche, like the wall of newspaper clippings, and just people's faces, circle X, like, I'm gonna fucking kill this, but like a kill list, very cliche. And it's like, why would you keep that there? Like, what if like, he works on the dock, right? Like, what if your coworker went on your boat at some moment and then saw that shit? Like, hey, what's with this creepy shit you got on your wall here? And so, but yeah, she just gets on the boat. Like, why would you do that? Come on. She just firmly believes that her boyfriend did it, I guess. And then we get, the slasher trope of, like, the final girl bumping into all the dead bodies. And I like this. I like this moment where she sees all the bodies in the ice. I forgot to talk about Elsa, the sister of Sarah Michelle Gellar. She gets killed, and she just stands there and takes it. Just sits there screaming like Vicky in Friday the 13th Part 2, and she's the one that's getting, like, dragged across the ground. I like that moment. She was the one in Billy Madison, right? So then his hand gets severed. The bad guy, he gets the guy. He's like, you better make sure, if you hit and run over someone, you better make sure they're dead, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets his hand cut off. So I guess in the sequel, he's going to be like Candyman, right? He's going to have the hook hand for real. So, yeah, and then, like, she distracts her boyfriend and gets him almost killed. Like, he's fighting with the killer, and then she, like, comes from behind out of this door, and she's like, boyfriend, whatever his name is, and then he turns around like, who? And then he just gets whacked right over the head, and it falls out of the boat. It's like, way to go, you moron. Like, why did you call his name? Like, hey, distraction. And it's like, what? Just shut up. You got him almost killed because of that, you moron. And then, then we get this bad dialogue between them. I didn't write down what they said exactly. Something like, I understand your pain. It's like what they're saying to each other. Oh, it's so bad. Like, I can't believe they used that. And then, no body was found. Sequel. And then we get this ending 1 year later, and it's up for interpretation, I guess, until we get to the sequel. But when this movie came out, was that supposed to be real? Was it a dream sequence? When he comes out the mirror, it seems kind of supernatural to be coming out of a mirror like that, so I'm guessing it's a dream sequence. But if it is or isn't, fuck that ending. It's so typical. It's just such a typical slasher ending. Final scare, you see it coming, and what you don't see, unfortunately, though, is Jennifer Love's huge tits that she has hidden below her towel that's, like, tightly glued around her body so it can't fall off. And then we get this awful end credit song. It's like the wrong song. Like, it's a more dark slasher than Scream, and the tone's mainly dark. And then you get this end song. I don't know what the song is, but it was just more upbeat, and it's just like some terrible 90s song. It's like, what? You're playing this? Why not just the movie's soundtrack, the score? Like, it was just a bad end credit song. Didn't like it. So, yeah, ended on a sour note, and kind of began with a sour note with the whole dumb car accident thing. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not a fan. Didn't like it. Maybe I'll like the second one more because it's probably going to be more silly. And I typically like horror comedies when they're done right, and I know Jack Black's character is very silly in the movie from what I remember, so maybe I'll like it more. Who knows? I'll report back next Wednesday. So let me know what your thoughts are on this movie in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.